Welcome to our Christmas assembly. This year we're thinking about gratitude at Christmas, being grateful for what we have and when it all began 2,000 years ago.
How much control do you like to have over what you're given for Christmas?
Well, before Christmas, I drew up a long list of what I'd like to be given. There are one or two big items that I hope someone very generous will get me, but I also include lots of small items, so there's no reason for anyone to be stuck for choice. It means I'm never giving anything I don't want.
Personally, I'd rather have the money. It gives me total control, and plus I can take advantage of Christmas sales because they're the best thing about Christmas. I mean, there's no point in paying twice if I can get a decent bargain.
I prefer the personal touch. I'd rather someone put some effort into their own choosing it for me. It shows what I mean to them. Okay, it can be a bit risky. I've also got some items of clothing I'd never chosen for myself, and some people get my music taste very wrong. But it's also worth to know that time and effort has gone into what I've been given. Christmas started a long time ago. It began with a nation of people who had a long list of what they wanted from their God. The Jews were once proud people who'd fallen on hard times. Their country was occupied by the Romans. They were forced to pay taxes to Caesar, to provide labour for the projects of their puppet ruler Herod, and conform to their very corrupt expectation of the occupying troops.
Their response was to cry to their God for a leader. He was given the title the Messiah. The job description of the Messiah was to be a just ruler and a powerful leader, someone who would enable them to rise up in rebellion and expel the Roman invaders from their land. This was the Christmas list drawn up by many of the Jewish people.
There are other Jews who took a more spiritual view. They prayed to God for someone who was holy, a priest who could lead them into truth and the right living. They knew that God had given them the 10 Commandments to obey, and they wanted someone who would emphasize the importance of following them. If they could get this right, then everything else that they wanted as a nation would follow.
Finally, there were those who were content to allow God to make the choice. They believed that God knew his people intimately and has done so for many centuries. They believed that there would come a day that when God would send the Messiah, but they were willing for God to decide who that might be and what they might do. What they got was Jesus. For many, he wasn't what they asked for. Is Jesus on your Christmas list? He might not seem relevant to your life, your wants, your hopes, and your ambitions. If possible, maybe you'd choose a Christmas without any mention of him at all.
Have you ever received a surprise present and it turned out to be the perfect gift? Christians believe that Jesus was that special gift, sent to bring freedom, to bring truth, to bring forgiveness, to bring guidance, to bring healing, to bring life in its most complete sense. Jesus is God's perfect surprise gift. So often, though, Jesus is a gift that remains unwrapped. Many of us ignore the mention of Jesus as much as possible. So how could we unwrap Jesus this Christmas? Probably the best way is read or listen to the story of his birth. It may be the surprise gift you're glad you didn't leave unopened. For those of other faiths, there are values we can all share at this time of year. The joy of giving and spending time with loved ones. Let that be the real gift this Christmas.
We will now close with a Christmas message from Dan, one of our local Church of Scotland ministers.
Hello, Craigroyston Community High School. My name is Dan. I'm one of the local ministers. My church is in Davidson's Mains. I'm also involved, part of the team of the Ferrywell Youth Project, and it's great to be able to share in some of your Christmas assembly today. If you were the king or the queen and you were able to pass laws, I wonder what laws you would pass. Maybe you would make some things that are illegal legal. Maybe you would make some things compulsory. I decree, henceforth, that at the start of every meal, ice cream will be served. Or maybe you would ban things like Brussels sprouts or talk about football and make it punishable by. Laws tell us a lot about what a person or what a country values. And if you were king or queen, I wonder where you would live. Maybe Buckingham Palace or Holyrood Palace or Edinburgh Castle or at the Hilton, or maybe in an amazing hotel with a swimming pool with servants who you can click your fingers and they'll bring you whatever you want. Well, 2,000 years ago, the story goes, and 3,000 miles away in Jerusalem, there was a king. And this king was an emperor, the Roman emperor, Caesar Augustus. Except he lived in Rome. And the way that the Romans ruled was with the sword and with power and with fear and intimidation. And the Romans had conquered country after country and people group after people group, including Israel in the Middle East. Step out of line and you would get it. And into this world, into this kingdom, the story goes, came Jesus. Different kind of king. A king who wouldn't take life, but who would give it. A king who wouldn't put people down, but would lift people up. King of kindness who wanted to be friends with all kinds and all sorts of people. People like them, and him, and her, and you, and me. And he even came, the story goes, to love and forgive and befriend and even die for his enemies. And what Christians believe and what I believe is this, that God trusted his son to a poor young woman, Mary, to be his mum. And God trusted his son to a humble carpenter, Joseph, to be his stepdad. And God shared the news, the good news about Jesus, with outsiders, travellers from the east, and also local shepherds. And in those days, people didn't think very much of shepherds. They might have said something like, they're dirty, smelly nobodies. But God had other thoughts. And the Son of God was not born in a palace, and he wasn't born in an amazing hotel. He was born in a stable with animals. And the Christmas story tells us that God values and treasures and loves not just the rich and famous people who think they are somebodies, who seem to have everything together. God loves and came to be friends with the ones who feel they're not very special or very important. That he came to befriend those who feel like they're outsiders and to hold together those that are feeling apart. And Jesus was going to be a different kind of king. And his kingdom would be built on love and truth and kindness. And this is what French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte is recorded saying about Jesus. And Napoleon was one of the greatest warrior kings of all time. And he said this, well then, I'll tell you, Alexander the Great, Caesar, Charlemagne, and I myself have founded great empires. But upon what did these creations of our genius depend? Upon force. Jesus alone founded his empire upon love. And to this very day, millions will die for him. I think I understand something of human nature, Napoleon says. And I tell you, all of these were men, and I'm a man. None else is like him. Jesus Christ was more than a man. And this different king, King Jesus, would give his life, live his life for others, and he would even give his life for the ones that he loved. And that's another story. And I wonder what you make of this King of kindness. And the good thing is you get to think about this and work this out for yourself. I hope and pray that you would know Jesus' love and kindness this Christmas, that you would know much love and kindness this Christmas. And maybe you would like to share love and kindness too, and when you do, it is great. So, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.